Welcome to today's Professional Matters webinar, which is about the do's and don'ts of advertising requirements in British Columbia and how to communicate those requirements to the licensees at your brokerage. My name is Elise Palmer and I will be your moderator today. I'm a communications specialist here at the Council, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to host today's session with two of our professional standards advisors. I want to start by saying that we are fortunate enough to be hosting today's session on the traditional territory of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. And I am pleased to introduce our two speakers today. We have Bruce McCoubrey and we have Alex Longson. They are two of the professional standards advisors here at the Council, as I mentioned. And I'll just get each of them to tell us a little bit about their backgrounds. So Bruce, why don't you start?
Sure. My name is Bruce McCoubrey. I'm a professional standards advisor here at the Council. My role here is to provide information and assistance to licensees on practice-related topics. I also answer questions from the public on the duties and obligations of licensees as well. I am a former trading service licensee. I was first licensed in 2005, and I have over 10 years of experience in the Vancouver market.
And Alex, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Certainly. I'm also a professional standards advisor here at the Council. I've been a licensee for rental management and strata property management. I've also been a managing broker. Prior to joining the Council, I assisted the Council on the complaints committee and the strata management advisory group. And I've been at the Council for just under 7 years now. Most of that time has been in the compliance department, and I joined the professional standards advisor department in September of last year. And I joined the Council to increase the education standards and raise the professionalism of the industry. Prior to emigrating, I worked for Ford Motor Company as an automotive test engineer.
Great, thank you both so much. So before I hand over the mic officially to Alex, I just have a few housekeeping items to cover about this presentation and about the GoToWebinar platform. First, the webinar will be available on demand as soon as this webinar is over, and it will be accessible through the same link that you used to watch the webinar. We will also be posting it on our licensee knowledge base at some point in the next few days to the next week, and we will be letting everyone know by email once it has been posted. Second, we would love to hear from you during today's webinar. If you have any questions for our speakers, please submit them through the Ask a Question function, which you should find on the right-hand side of your screen in the widget, not through the chat function. Now, in regards to the questions, we will be answering them near the end of this session. And if we don't get to all those questions, we will be providing written answers. Now, without further ado, I will turn it over to Alex, who is going to go over the learning objectives today.
So thank you. Welcome to you all, and thank you for joining us today. I know that today's topic is of real interest to many real estate licensees, so let's dive straight in. In this webinar, Bruce and I will introduce a PowerPoint presentation on the advertising requirements that have been developed specifically by the Real Estate Council for you as a managing broker to use with licensees at your brokerage. We'll walk you through the new Real Estate Council advertising requirements PowerPoint presentation and answer your questions at the end. Here are the learning objectives that we're going to cover today. The rules that regulate advertising, the purpose of the requirements and how they protect the public, how personal real estate corporations and teams are affected by advertising requirements, how to stay compliant on digital platforms and social media, considerations for co-listing, advertising requirements when a license is suspended or a licensee is suspended.
And here is what the PowerPoint presentation on the advertising requirements that has been developed specifically by RecBC for you as managing brokers to use with licensees at your brokerage looks like. This PowerPoint, as I mentioned, along with the other accompanying information that we've created today, will be available as downloadable PDFs on the licensee knowledge base, and we will be sending everyone who attended today's webinar an email when the material is posted. So Bruce, can you walk us through the specific rules that cover advertising?
Sure. I mean, first of all, we should be clear that we're talking just about advertising requirements under the Real Estate Services Act and the rules today. Boards and MLS also have their rules, but we will not be covering those because they do not fall under our jurisdiction. So there are several rules regulating advertising by real estate professionals. And let's just go straight into the first rule, which is restrictions and requirements related to advertising generally. So Rule 4-6, Part 1, a licensee must not publish real estate advertising unless it complies with this section. Part 2, in all cases, the licensee name of the brokerage must be displayed in a prominent and easily readable way. Part 3, if real estate advertising identifies a managing broker, associate broker, or representative, this must be done, A, if that person is an individual, by using the licensee name of the individual, or if that person is a personal real estate corporation or a controlling individual of a personal real estate corporation, by using the licensee name of the personal real estate corporation only. Part 4 of the same rule, if real estate advertising includes an office address for the licensee, this must be the address of the related brokerage office. Part 5 of 4-6, if the Real Estate Council approves a team name for a group of related licensees, real estate advertising may also identify the group by this team name. So the next rule we'll deal with is Rule 4-7, which is concerning false or misleading advertising prohibited. So a licensee must not publish real estate advertising that the licensee knows or reasonably ought to know contains a false or misleading statement or misrepresentation concerning real estate, a trade in real estate, or the provision of real estate services. And the final rule we'll deal with is Rule 4-8, which is advertising in relation to specific real estate. A licensee must not publish real estate advertising indicating the specific real estate is being offered for sale or other disposition unless the owner of the real estate or an authorized agent of the owner has consented to the advertising.
And Alex, why do these rules exist? What are they trying to accomplish?
Well, the intention of the rules is to make sure that the public is neither misled nor confused as to who's providing the real estate services. The rules are in place to ensure accurate representation about real estate and the real estate services. Messaging on licensees' advertising must be clear, accurately represented, and not misleading to confuse the viewer as to who is providing the real estate services. If you have a special designation, then whenever any comparative claim, business volume, honor, or award that is noted in the advertising, then the basis of the claim, volume, honor, or award needs to be included to avoid misleading the audience. For example, you need to identify the source, the date, and the qualifying information. Diving more deeply into the no false or misleading advertising, the rules state that a licensee must not publish real estate advertising that the licensee knows or ought to know contains a false statement or misrepresentation concerning the real estate, a trade in real estate, or the provision of real estate services. False statements are those that can be shown to be factually incorrect. Generally, there is little room for interpretation in these situations. The assessment of statements that may be misleading, deceptive, or inaccurate, however, is more subjective in nature. In general, licensees should assume that all statements in an advertisement will be taken at face value and interpreted based upon their plain meaning. If the licensee's intent is to imply something else, or if the licensee is aware that the statement could be interpreted in different ways, it would be better to spell out the intended meaning in plain language, or to provide some form of disclaimer within the advertisement. Failure to do so could result in the statement being deemed misleading, deceptive, or inaccurate. If a promise or offer is made in any advertising, any conditions or limitations must be clearly indicated. Additionally, full written details of the terms, conditions, or limitations of the promise or offer must be available. Enhancing computer applications make it easier to manipulate photographs in a variety of ways. When using photographs in advertising materials, licensees must use caution so as not to alter or enhance photographs in any way that would misrepresent aspects of the property. So whilst editing out such items such as a garbage can or an automobile parked in a driveway would be acceptable, removing nearby power lines or changing any physical characteristics of a property such that it results in a misrepresentation would not be acceptable. Licensees have been remanded for advertising a property whilst using a photograph of a completely different property.
And it's also important to cover what current and accurate information means. So Bruce, can you walk us through that requirement?
Sure. Okay, so licensees must ensure that when listings have expired, that they're immediately removed from websites. Similarly, if property information changes during a listing period, the information posted on the websites should be changed accordingly. Licensees should also not advertise other licensees' listings directly on their own website without the permission from the listing licensee, and if this permission is given, should not alter any of the listing information without approval of the listing licensee. And lastly, if you're linking to an outside database of available properties, it should be clear to consumers which listings are the licensees and which are not.
Thank you. And Bruce, is it ever acceptable to use the short form of a brokerage's name?
All advertisements must include the full name of the related brokerage. Short forms of the brokerage name are not sufficient. For example, if a brokerage's full name is ABC Hillside Realty Limited, it's not sufficient to include ABC Realty or Hillside Realty as the brokerage name. The name of the brokerage must be displayed prominently and in an easily readable form. And this includes, but is not limited to, the following: TV ads, websites, email signature, bus and bus shelters, newspaper ads, billboards, and business cards. Now, in the case of radio and audio only advertising, the name of the related brokerage must be clearly stated. And some brokerages are part of a larger franchise, and where the franchise name may be instantly recognizable, licensees should remember that the franchise name is not the full name of the brokerage.
Alex, how would we be assessing compliance with this rule if we got a complaint, for instance?
Okay, so in assessing compliance, the Real Estate Council will give consideration to the prominence of the brokerage name in relation to the rest of the advertisement and the relative ease in which a consumer can identify the brokerage. The use of a smaller font or the name of a brokerage in a color that blends in with the background might be found to be non-compliant.
Okay, thank you. And let's move on to our next topic, which is personal real estate corporations and teams. Alex, how do licensees ensure they're compliant in these aspects?
So the first thing to recognize is the personal real estate corporation's licensee name is the legal name. Advertising that identifies an individual who has a personal real estate corporation must use the licensee name of the personal real estate corporation, not the individual's name. Therefore, it's important for the controlling individual to ensure that the legal name of his or her personal real estate corporation is the name in which they wish to advertise.
And Bruce, are you able to give us some examples about this?
Yeah, so for example, if Robert Vandra has a personal real estate corporation with the licensee name of Robbie Vandra Personal Real Estate Corporation, advertising must refer to Robbie Vandra Personal Real Estate Corporation, not Robert Vandra. Another example would be where G Wu uses the name Jeffrey Wu for advertising purposes and has registered this as his licensee name with the council. If he then wishes to license a personal real estate corporation, he must choose whether to license his personal real estate corporation under the name Jeffrey Wu Personal Real Estate Corporation or G Wu Personal Real Estate Corporation. Now, if he registers the personal real estate corporation name as G Wu Personal Real Estate Corporation, he would then no longer be able to advertise using the name Jeffrey Wu, as all advertising must be in the licensee name of G Wu Personal Real Estate Corporation. Now, there's no requirement that the font must be all the same, but the term personal real estate corporation must be clearly included. Other than on MLS, where MLS generates the term PREC or PREC with a footnote, the use of the acronym PREC by a licensee is not permitted on any advertising.
And Bruce, let's move on now to teams. What are the requirements for teams?
Okay, so as we previously discussed, the licensee may only advertise using their licensee name, a recognizable short form of their legal name, or a name approved by the council. Now, once the council has approved a team name for a group of related licensees, real estate advertising may only identify the group by its team name. For example, the AV team. The name of the related brokerage must always be included in any form of team advertising. Now, registered teams may identify themselves by their team name in advertisements, but the brokerage name must also be prominently displayed and must be easily readable in relation to the rest of the advertisement. Including the name of the brokerage at the bottom of a website or print advertisement in small type does not satisfy the requirements. And all advertising that includes the names of unlicensed team members must identify them as being unlicensed.
And Alex, what about family members? Can they advertise together?
Yeah, so if licensees have the same surname and they are engaged by the same brokerage, then they may advertise together. For example, the blogs, who are two members of the same family, the blogs, they can advertise together as the blogs, and they don't need to register that as they don't need to register their surname with the real estate council as a separate advertising or marketing name.
Great, thank you. And so we're going to move on now to our next topic, which is digital advertising and social media. Alex, what do managing brokers need to know to ensure that their licensees are staying compliant when they're working digitally?
So as I said earlier, one of the primary purposes of the Real Estate Council's advertising rules is to ensure that consumers accessing a licensee's advertising are aware that they're dealing with a real estate licensee and know the name of the brokerage with which that licensee is engaged. This is particularly important for internet and social media advertising, given the worldwide exposure of this advertising medium. Just as in print advertising, the full name of the brokerage must appear in a prominent and easily readable form on all internet and social media advertising platforms, including each individual page, email, online discussion group, or bulletin board, etc. For social media advertising, licensees must include the name of their related brokerage on their profile screen. Using Twitter or Facebook as examples, only the licensee's main profile screen is required to contain the name of the licensee's related brokerage. It is not required that each tweet or post contain the name of the brokerage. The rationale is that once a licensee's profile has been accessed, the name of the brokerage is displayed and it's known that the individual is a licensee. It's the site visitor with that knowledge who then chooses whether to follow the licensee's tweets or asks to become a friend going forward. This is rather like licensees introducing themselves to a consumer at an open house. They identify themselves as a real estate licensee and present a business card with the name of their brokerage displayed. Licensees don't have to reintroduce themselves at each subsequent meeting if the consumer decides to maintain contact with them, as the consumer already knows via the first introduction and the business card with whom they're dealing.
And Bruce, I'm hoping you can go over the specific requirements for different or for common online and social media websites. And I should also mention that we will be releasing this as a checklist for managing brokers and licensees. It will also be available on the licensee knowledge base, and we will be, as I mentioned, sending you all an email when this resource is ready.
Yeah, the top 6 advertising platforms where the council finds non-compliant licensee advertising are Craigslist, Kijiji, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube. Now, we do have specific guidelines in our professional standards manual for common online and social media websites, and we are releasing this as a handy guide for managing brokers and licensees. But let's just look at Facebook and Instagram. Profiles generally have limited characters, but the name of the brokerage or personal real estate corporation or team can be displayed as a graphic in the cover photo. Better yet, Facebook page has unlimited characters, so it's easy to comply and have the page look very professional. If you are in any way using Facebook to advertise, your page and profile must include the name of your brokerage. And if you don't want the public or council to scrutinize your Facebook page, be sure to have your privacy settings appropriately. And let's look at Twitter. Now, Twitter, the bio section does have room for your name plus that of your brokerage, or you can include your brokerage name in the background of your Twitter page. You do not have to add the name of your brokerage to each tweet. And let's look at Google+. Just like Facebook, you can put the name of your brokerage in the cover photo or in your profile photo. Just keep in mind that the posts are the first things displayed, not the about section. So if you don't have your brokerage name in the cover photo or profile photo, you will have to have it on all your posts. Now let's look at YouTube. On the Your Channel section of YouTube, you can put your brokerage name in the About section. On the YouTube video page, you can put the name of the brokerage, personal real estate corporation or team in 3 areas: in the title area, or the description, or in the intro to your video. Craigslist and Kijiji is another example, and it's important here to ensure that the name of your brokerage is prominently displayed again and easily readable on any Craigslist and Kijiji posting. And also another consideration is foreign language publications. Translations of brokerage names into other languages is not acceptable. The licensee name of the brokerage or licensee or personal real estate corporation or team must be reflected as it's registered by the Real Estate Council. And lastly, LinkedIn. So your LinkedIn profile must include the name of your brokerage to ensure compliance.
And Alex, today we're going through a PowerPoint that managing brokers will be able to use with their licensees. And Bruce just walked us through social media advertising. And we also have a third resource, which is a checklist for managing brokers and licensees to ensure they're staying compliant with all of their advertising. Can you please share that with us?
Yes. This is a new tool that is adapted from content in the Professional Standards Manual. We're going to go through the checklist and identify each checkpoint in turn. Check the licensed name of your brokerage on the Real Estate Council's licensee search page, and check the licensed name, your own licensed name, on the Real Estate Council's licensee search page. Is the full name of your brokerage as registered with the Real Estate Council clearly and prominently displayed and easily readable on all advertising? If the brokerage office address is included in the advertisement, is it the correct address for the brokerage office at which you're licensed? If your name is included in the advertisement, is it your licensee name, i.e. your legal name, a recognizable short form of your legal name, or a name that has been approved by the council? If you have a personal real estate corporation, does the advertisement include the name of the personal real estate corporation? If the advertisement contains a team name, has that team name and a current list of team members been registered with the Real Estate Council? Are all the representations in the advertisement current, accurate, and verifiable? If a promise or offer is made in the advertisement, have any conditions or limitations been indicated? And if there is a comparative claim of business volume, an honour or award noted in the advertisement, has the basis of that claim, volume, honour or award been included to avoid misleading the audience, such as the source, the dates, and the qualifying information?
Thank you, Alex, and we will be posting this checklist on our licensing knowledge base as a downloadable PDF. So let's move on to our next topic, which is co-listing. And Alex, what are the specific considerations with regards to co-listing?
Well, the Real Estate Council cautions licensees to think very carefully about the risks involved in this practice before they decide to advertise jointly with licensees from a different brokerage. Licensees from different brokerages who decide to jointly advertise their real estate services and properties that are for sale, lease or rent must ensure that all service agreements, for example, listing contracts, are co-listed by the brokerages. Licensees must ensure that the advertisement clearly shows the brokerage to which they are licensed, so that the public are not misled as to which brokerage the licensee is representing. For open houses, you must ensure that the full legal name of both brokerages are included in any signage outside the property, regardless if only one of the licensees is there.
Great. And Bruce, what do managing brokers need to know if one of their licensees is suspended?
Okay, so when a licensee is suspended, they must stop all advertising and promotions. They need to cancel or remove all print, TV and radio ads, information on their website and social media channels, and all your brokerage's websites and social media. This includes also advertisements on buses, bus benches, bus shelters, any signage on your car, and certainly for any for sale or sold signage. Now, this list isn't exhaustive. There are other forms of advertising not mentioned here. And if your one of your licensees has been suspended, you should tell them to think carefully about all the ways in which they have advertised their services, and to be sure that these advertisements are cancelled during the suspension.
Okay, thank you both so much. So that wraps up the presentation section of our webinar, and we will now be moving on to the question and answer portion. Now, several of you have already sent in written questions, so we will be addressing those questions first. And I know that you've been sending in questions throughout this, so once we've answered all the questions that were submitted beforehand, we will be trying to get to as many of those as possible. If we don't, we will be posting some written responses on our website. So the first question, what you got it here, is what are the advertising requirements if another licensee hosts my open house? Oh, and by the way, the other licensee is from another brokerage.
You want me to go first?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
So this is actually a more complex answer than it appears at first glance. Assuming that the agency relationship that the brokerage works under is designated agency, in order for a licensee to host another licensee's open house, the client must first be informed and give consent. However, where this becomes problematic is where the licensee asked to host the open house, or the first licensee's listing, is from another brokerage. In those circumstances, the client must first have agreed for their property to be co-listed with another brokerage. If that's been done, then the second licensee may show the property, ensuring that their brokerage's sign is on the property during the open house.
Great, thank you. And Bruce, another question we got is, I have a personal office in my home. Can I have a sign outside?
Yes, you can. However, the signage outside must not include the name of the brokerage. Okay, so you mustn't include the name of your brokerage. And also another thing to remember is that the signage outside the personal office cannot indicate that any real estate services are being provided from the location.
Okay. So the next question we got is, does any advertising for a co-listed property have to show both brokerages, or can it just show one?
Okay, so any co-listing agreements would of course require the signs of both brokerages to be displayed on the property for open houses to avoid any appearance of misleading the public. Although double signage may contravene municipal or real estate board association bylaws.
Okay. Now, should unlicensed assistants be registered with the council?
So unlicensed assistants don't have to be registered at council, but if they are shown or indicated in the advertising or any advertising, then it should be clear that they are unlicensed assistant in the advertising.
And a question we got about teams is, what action should I take if the members of the team change?
So it's the licensee's obligation to inform the council when any team members join or leave the team. They have to inform the council in writing, And they also, it's the same obligation if they have a licensee who surrenders their license, because you can have unlicensed assistants registered with a team. They have to inform the council that the person who is now unlicensed has left the team as well.
Okay, and Bruce, we got a similar question to that one about a personal office, which is, can a licensee advertise a personal office?
The short answer to that is no. As you'll have heard on the webinar, we obviously stress great importance on the rules where in all advertising, the name of the brokerage has to be displayed. However, in the case of personal offices, this is not the case. You cannot advertise the address of your personal office.
Okay. Another question about personal offices. Apparently it's a popular topic. If the personal office is located in what advertising can I put up for my personal office? For instance, if it's in a commercial space.
So if it's in a commercial space, you may indicate that using signage that you have a personal office. For example, on the directory, the business directory at the commercial space, you could have the name of the personal office. In this case, it would be something like Joe Smith Personal Office. As long as the sign does not indicate that real estate services are being provided from the location. Now, another consideration is that you should be aware, you should ensure that the personal office does not display anything that might indicate that real estate services are being provided at the location. So, for example, not posting listings or sale information, for example, in the window.
Right. Alex, a question about teams. What kind of team names are acceptable, and what's the process of registering as a team?
Okay, so the team name must convey to the public that a group of individuals from the same brokerage, which may include unlicensed assistants, is working as a team. The team names, which include the names group, team, network, or associates, helps to make this clear. To ensure the public are not misled or confused, a team name must not give the impression of being an incorporated company or a brokerage in its own right. The terms realty and real estate may not be used in a team name, as they may give the impression of being a separately licensed brokerage. Exceptions to this are the use of terms such as real estate team or the real estate group at the end of a name. For example, the blog's real estate team or the blog's real estate group. No team name would be approved that may be confusing or confused with an existing brokerage, nor will a team name be approved if there's an identical team name, whether it be anywhere else in the province, that's already been approved by the Real Estate Council.
Okay, moving on to, we got a question about WeChat. What are the advertising standards for WeChat?
Okay, so the advertising requirements and the rules are not specific about which particular software or platform the individual is using. Rather, it's up to the licensee to ensure that they're compliant, and the advertising and to ensure that a way of doing that, I should say, is to look at the other examples that we've used today on the different platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and ensure that by using those examples and looking at the principles involved there, to ensure that that particular platform or app is compliant with the rules.
Okay. We talked today a lot about prominence of the brokerage name, and so we got a question about this topic. How big should a brokerage name be? Do you have any font requirements?
The council don't have any specific font requirements, because obviously that's really dependent upon the size of the overall advertising. For example, a business card, if we said the font size on there, we couldn't translate that font size to a 6x4 poster size advertisement. Rather, we require that the brokerage name is prominently and clearly displayed on all advertising. So we rely on the licensee to make the determination to ensure that the brokerage name is prominently and clearly displayed.
Some companies advertise commercial or farm divisions, for instance. Is this allowed?
Yes, I mean, a group of individuals can advertise a specialty, but care should be taken not to include words that might give rise to a misunderstanding or could be misleading. Words such as group, team, network, associate, which might give the impression of being a team. So while the word or idea of specialists in your advertising is fairly subjective, it's really up to the licensee to ensure that they're compliant and to look at the whole of their advertising and to ensure that each piece of their advertising as a whole doesn't give the impression that they are working as a team. Obviously, words like real estate or realty, again, shouldn't be used because that would give the impression of being an independent business or a brokerage.
Okay, and Alex, we got another question that also about, the next few questions are all kind of similar. If two licensees work together on a project or specialty, but don't want to partner on other real estate, can they identify their for advertising purposes together without actually creating a team?
Yes, licensees from the same brokerage can advertise together. They can advertise their specialty, but the advertising must follow the individual licensee advertising guidelines, i.e. the name of the brokerage, individual licensee names to be used. How the specialty is communicated to potential clients must not be misleading.
Right. Another question we got is, can you advertise slogans, branding, marketing together without forming a team if it in no way gives the impression to the public that it is a separate company?
And I think it comes back to, that the licensee is ensuring they're using their personal judgment, looking at the whole range of their advertising to ensure that it couldn't mislead or be misleading to the public. So again, using words like group, team, network, associates really gives the impression of it being a team. So it's really up to the licensee to give careful consideration about how their advertising may be viewed.
Okay, we got a couple of questions about whether registering teams are voluntary.
Okay, so if a group of related licensees wish to work together, there is no requirement to register that group with the council as a team. However, if they wish to identify themselves under a singular name or brand and market themselves under that name rather than their individual licensee names, then they must first register that team name with the council.
Okay. Another set of questions that were sent in is, I have a long name and I'm also a personal real estate corporation. I can't fit all the text characters on my Instagram page. Can I display a shortened name of the brokerage and use the acronym PREC on the page so that it will fit?
The short answer is no. Basically, your licensed personal real estate corporation name must, as it's registered with council, must be displayed in full. The temptation perhaps is to use PREC, but you cannot do that. You have to use the full name.
Great. So we got another question that was sent in similar to this. I'm just going to go find it. It was about teams and personal real estate corporations. So if the team leader, for instance, is of a registered team, is also a personal real estate corporation, do they need to use both the registered team name and the registered personal real estate corporation name on all of their advertising?
If they've registered the team name with the council, then they can advertise under the team name. However, anywhere that a licensee uses their name on advertising, they must, if they're registered as a personal real estate corporation, they must include the full licensee name, which includes John Smith Personal Real Estate Corporation.
Great, thank you. And Alex, I've got another question for you. I'm advertising my services on the side of my car in the form of a car wrap, but the name of the brokerage's logo is the same color as the color of my car. Is that okay?
That would be somewhat problematic because it would the licensee needs to consider whether in fact the name of the brokerage is prominently and clearly displayed. If it blends in with the color of the car, then it may not necessarily comply.
Okay.
So perhaps a different color background to the logo or the name of the brokerage is appropriate.
Great. Another question about teams. We have a team, but we no longer want to be a registered team with the council. Instead, we'd like to deregister, but still pool our advertising together as the, for instance, ABC marketing group. Is that okay?
It goes back to some of the key things we've mentioned today, which is words like group could give rise to the impression of a team. So ultimately, yes, licensees can advertise together using their licensee names, but to Alex's point earlier, where they are using another name as a brand or a name of the group, they must ensure that they are in compliance and that the name wouldn't give rise to the impression of being a team.
Okay, thank you. Another question, I'm doing radio advertising. The cost of the ads are very expensive, even for a very short ad slot. Can I leave out the name of the brokerage and just promote my own name to make it more cost effective?
It goes back to the theme of everything that we're saying today. In any advertising, the brokerage name must be clearly and prominently displayed. Obviously, in radio advertising, the name of the brokerage must be clear and prominently verbalized on the advertising.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question, and this is a question that we just got on our through the chat function, the question function. It's about a personal Facebook account. So it says, does an agent posting on their personal Facebook, not specifically advertising, if they put up a post that says, I just sold 1234 Kingsway, for instance, would they need to put their brokerage name in their profile and have it be in compliance with their advertising requirements?
It wouldn't necessarily need to be in their profile, but if they are in any time they are advertising real estate services or advertising that they provide real estate services, they have to provide the name of the brokerage. So if it's the personal Facebook account and this is a once-off posting, they would need to put on the post the name of the brokerage to which they're at. If they're using their personal Facebook account on a more regular basis for advertising their real estate services, then it may be more appropriate to put it in the profile.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we don't have time for any more questions, but as I mentioned, we did get a few extra ones and we will be putting together a written response to some of the more frequently asked questions. So that concludes today's Real Estate Council webinar. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank both of you for attending. Much appreciated. If anyone has any additional questions that they didn't get a chance to submit today, you can send them directly to a professional standards advisor. You can see the number on your, or the address on your screen. It's advisor@recbc.ca, or you can send a general question to info@recbc.ca. We will be publishing all of the material from today's webinar, including the PowerPoint and an associated script at some point in the coming days, and we will be sending all of you an email once that's all published. So thank you very much, and thank you both very much.
Thank you.